Okay. Um, Welcome everybody. Welcome to PUCL Dialogues. PUCL Dialogues is a space, it's an online space that we have tried to regularly host to bring together different perspectives on issues of social justice and human rights that plague our current times. We haven't been able to conduct one in a few months, but we are happy to restart and we want to make sure that PUCL Dialogues once again becomes a regular space for discussions and dialogues. Thank you all for joining this very important discussion today on the situation unfolding in Ladakh. For the past 6 years, discontent has been brewing in the cold desert, with various communities coming together in protests, marches, and hunger strikes. Far too often, the mainstream Indian media, as well as the political class, has ignored the voices of the people of Ladakh and have threatened the leaders of the movement with cases of criminal charges or conspiracy cases, etc. But Ladakhis have been speaking up for 5, 6 years now, and the country has not been listening. The BJP has made several empty promises, including the promise of recognizing statehood for Ladakh, as well as the inclusion of Ladakh under the sixth schedule, but never delivered. Unemployment, the grabbing of large parcels of land being promised to corporate sector, being taken over by the central government, and especially the fact that the non-representation of the interests of the people of Ladakh in the political discourse has pushed people into large protests last month, with almost 6,000 people hitting the streets. Despite many of those on hunger strikes falling critically ill, the union government kept delaying talks with the civic bodies organizing the protests. On 24th September, violence erupted when a few younger protesters separated from the site of peaceful protests, and what followed next has been described by many news outlets as the deadliest day in Ladakh. Instead of upholding the rule of law, the response of the police was grossly disproportionate. PUCL has strongly condemned the response of the police on 24th September when they fired live ammunition into an unarmed crowd, killing 4 people and injuring 86 more. On the very next day, Sonam Wangchuk, an innovator, educator, and one of the activists who had been spearheading several hunger strikes as well as the larger movement, was detained under the National Security Act. 60 other activists and protesters have also been arrested. As the title of today's PUCL dialogue session is Protecting Ladakh, Resisting the Government's Efforts to Silence the People's Demands, there are two main aspects of today's discussion. One is that the protests of the people of Ladakh are not just to gain autonomy for autonomy's sake. They're the political assertion of the people of Ladakh to protect Ladakh from corporate interests and ecological destruction. Second, the Ladakh people's movement is one that is asserting claim to democracy, one that is resisting the government's efforts to silence them. So we are here today to foreground the demands of the people of Ladakh and ask crucial questions as to why are they protesting? What are the vested interests that lie in the broken promises? And what is the way forward? We have 7 speakers today. So from the KDA, from Lab, who are some of the most leading civic bodies, being a mix of socio-political and religious groups from Leh and Kargil, who have organized the agitation since 2021. We have Ashish Kothari, environmentalist, author, and activist. We have Kunzes Dolma, the vice president of Ladakh Buddhist Association. We have Sering Nordrun Shuru, who's an educator and a women's rights activist. And we have Sevang Rigzin, a journalist based in Ladakh. So, without further ado, I want to welcome our speakers and thank them for being able to join us today and share their perspectives today. We were very nervous that the internet shutdown in Ladakh is not going to allow this meeting to happen, but we are very happy that our speakers could have access to internet and we're able to have this conversation. The first speaker I would like to invite is Sajjad Kargili from the Kargil Democratic Alliance. And I want to ask uh, if you could tell our audience and introduce our audience to why the people of Ladakh are protesting and what are the main demands of the people of Ladakh.
Thank you, Aishwarya, and everyone who are present here, and also I'm very much thankful to PUCL for organizing this very wonderful program where they have invited from different political and social stakeholders from Ladakh, uh, especially our co-chairman from Leh Apex body, Sring Dorjeji, who is likely to join soon. As you all are aware about Ladakh, that Ladakh is known for tourist destination and all these things, but for political reasons and the reason of crisis, this might be the first time when the entire country is knowing about Ladakh. And the aspirations of the people of Ladakh have been less discussed in the country. When Ladakh was divided from Jammu and Kashmir, and since 2019, when Ladakh was carved as a union territory, they too without legislature. The people of Ladakh have been, engaged in a kind of a peaceful democratic movement. Because when people realized that this UT is not going to fulfill the aspirations of the people of Ladakh, and we saw that the idea of the Union Territory has failed to deliver the aspirations of the people of Ladakh, to deliver the motives they have portrayed, or the claims they made when they given Ladakh UT status. We saw three layers of disempowerment in Ladakh. First, the political disempowerment, because Ladakh had actually representation in Jammu and Kashmir Assembly. We had MLAs, MLCs. They used to be our voices in the assembly and in Jammu and Kashmir. And whenever we used to uh, demand something from the government, they were the medium between the people of Ladakh and the government. And but unfortunately, after bifurcation of the state of Jammu and Kashmir, we lost this representation, and the UT administration, the government of India, has failed to give that representation. And that's why the bureaucrats who are coming from outside and different parts of the country they are taking all the decisions without the consent of the people of Ladakh. And here we lost the consent. The second thing, India is known for its diversity and its federalism. And this idea, UT idea, is basically a colonial idea. It's not the Indian democratic idea, but it is gifted by the Britishers when they left India, and some part of part of the country they have made UT, just because in coming years they also join in a federal structure. But in the history of India, independent India, Ladakh is the first example when they have downgraded a state into a union territory. That was the attack on our federal structure and our diversity. On this level, we can say that Ladakh has lost its voice, its representation. The second disempowerment was we have earlier we had Article 370, 35A in which we had some rights. We had cultural protection, our land protection, land safeguards. But now, when they divided Ladakh into union territory, and they downgraded Ladakh into a union territory, and they promised to people of Ladakh that they will give tribal status for Ladakh and they will grant sixth schedule for Ladakh. Till today, we don't have any kind of constitutional protection for our land. So, in this regard, we have lost land safeguard, our culture, our ethnicity, our glaciers, our environment, everything is in danger. So, we have been downgraded on this second layer, like we have lost the land rights. We had earlier a kind of a law like Elan 38, in which people used to cultivate the barren land and they use for their agriculture purposes. In Ladakh, people have very less land. We don't have big landlords in Ladakh, but there was a provision in the government system that they used to give us some land, stale land, as a part of Nautod, and people use it for agriculture purposes and they own it later. But now this Elan 30 has been also almost they have taken away, because all powers have been shifted from Tahsildar to DM. On the third layer, we have been downgraded. Like earlier, we had Public Service Commission, we had Higher Education Department, very empowered Higher Education Department. But for last 6 years, not a single Ladakhi has get gazetted post job in Ladakh, and no recruitment has taken place under Public Service Commission. So the government has failed to give us job. So we have lost our presence from bureaucracy as well. So in these three layers, from political representation to land safeguards and from the bureaucratic representation, we are being downgraded, and Ladakh has been made voiceless. That's why the people of Ladakh, both Leh Apex Body and Kargil Democratic Alliance, the leaders in Leh and Kargil, they have realized that we should come together. We should forget all we have differences among us, and we should fight for our existence. And we have formed 4-point agenda. That those were: first, we want full statehood for Ladakh, not a half democracy, because we are now realizing the UT without legislature in Delhi or in Pondicherry, where even in Jammu and Kashmir, where we have seen a chief minister of a state, and also now we are seeing a chief minister of a UT with legislature, where he has no powers. So I think this empowerment of the people of Ladakh, I think we should we should realize as soon as possible, and we should demand full statehood for Ladakh. So Ladakh should be governed by the Ladakhis. Second, we are continuously demanding this sixth schedule, and we should strongly put forward over this issue of sixth schedule. Third, we are demanding Public Service Commission for Ladakh, separate cadre for Ladakh. Either we want to join Jammu Kashmir Public Service Commission so that the Ladakhi bureaucrats remain in this region. The government is trying to include us in DANIX, which will be, I think, a kind of a disastrous for the Ladakhi people, because we have less population, and they want to disperse our all bureaucrats across India so that no Ladakhi bureaucrat will remain in Ladakh. So these kind of things they are trying to introduce, and they are trying to do. And that's why we have four demands, and the fourth demand is we are demanding separate Lok Sabha seats for Leh and Kargil regions, because Ladakh is uh, 3 times bigger than Jammu and Kashmir. We have largest parliamentary constituency in the country. We have largest geography. Like in most of the states, we are bigger than most of the states. So one representative in among the 500 representatives in parliament cannot represent a region like Ladakh, which is very strategically important, very diverse, as well as very sensitive. So for this reason, we are demanding separate Lok Sabha seats for these two regions. So Ladakhis today, they are united. They are fighting as one soul for their identity, for their existence. Basically, this is the fight of our existence. And we are seeing that if we will not rise up today, then we will lost everything. Like we are in a very vulnerable condition, because we have less population. We have seen that in within 2 years in Jammu and Kashmir, 80,000 people have been given domicile in Jammu and Kashmir. More than 80,000, 83,000 people. If this case be repeated in Ladakh, then we will lose our demography. So to protect our demography, to protect democracy in Ladakh, to protect our employment rights, it's our collective responsibility to be sincere on these four point agenda and to fight peacefully for our 4 point agenda. The second thing, quickly, I am trying to sum up my points. And the second thing is the post 24th September. We have seen the one of the open example, because we were continuously saying, both apex body and KDA, that there is no accountability in Ladakh. But we have seen this on 24th September, when without any, even BJP leaders said the protesters were unarmed, and they have opened fire on the unarmed protesters and killed our four youths. Many injured, many have been detained. 30 people are still in the custody, police custody, including Sonam Wangchukji. He has been arrested under NSA. And we have seen many culprits, many criminals, those who are rape accused and murder accused, they are roaming free in the country. Those who have open threatened the constitution and the police and everyone, like we have seen, we have example of Kapil Mishra kind of people who have openly threatened police. In front of police they have threatened, issued threatenings during these Delhi riots, but he is enjoying a portfolio as a minister. But Sonam Wangchuk, who was protesting peacefully on a Gandhian way, he has been arrested and he has been sent to Jodhpur jail, Jodhpur Central Jail. So we demand on behalf of KDA and the people of Kargil and people of Ladakh whole, we are demanding immediate release of all those who have been arrested, including Sonam Wangchuk, and drop all the charges unconditionally without further delay. And we are not going to fear from NSAs, UAPAs, all kind of these draconian laws. They cannot, they cannot threaten us. And we will struggle peacefully. We will continue our struggle in future also. And Ladakhi people will be victorious, I hope. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sajadji, for demonstrating how, firstly, that the rights of Ladakhis have been stripped at different layers, the three different ways in which it has happened, affecting both the rights of individuals, in the form of unemployment and denial of jobs, to the violation of people, the rights of people collectively, that you're trying to claim through your four demands. And of course, the fifth being demand the release of all those arrested and dropping of the charges unconditionally. So thank you so much for also being so succinct and keeping it brief for us also, because we have now six more speakers. The next speaker I want to the call on is Ache Kunzes Dolma.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so just a moment. Uh, yeah, I might have to rush a bit because I'm right now outside the district jail over here in Leh. Uh, we have been busy, Ladakh Buddhist Association, as well as all the lawyers from Ladakh, the Bar Association. We have been a bit busy releasing the people on bail who have been inside the jail for now. So we had already released more than half of those who were arrested. And right now, two more are being released. So I just came over here. Yeah, just to be quick, you had asked me to mention about the role of the women and youth in this movement. So, on behalf of LBA, we had been, LBA has been always in the forefront for any kind of movement regarding the benefit of Ladakh, be it for the scheduled tribe that was done earlier, uh, and right now, again, for the protection of the sixth schedule. Um, and in this, what happens is, just to give a grassroots level scenario, it's the mostly the women who always come forward when there are mass gatherings to be done. Definitely, it's the men who are mostly in the decision making. So I'm part of the Kargil Democratic Alliance as member representing the minority community, the Buddhist community of Kargil area also. Sajad is our colleague over there. Um, and yes, so showing the representation of women, that's why we found that we need more voice of women in the decision making level. That's why we, the religious bodies and various women organizations, had been pushing for women reservation in the Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Councils, which has been done. And now we want to see more women, also the voice of the women in the decision making in these platforms of Apex and KDA, the high power committee that we call. Yeah, coming back to the movement, we I'm actually just right outside waiting for all the people are over here waiting for those two people to be released. And every day, the Ladakh Buddhist Association, we are going to the court, helping along with the lawyers to release all these people. And we really feel sorry for the loss of lives of the four people, and many of them who are injured and are still in hospital. We never expected such kind of a event to be happen, especially in this peaceful region of Ladakh. I'm myself really devastated from what has happened. And I really apologize for not having able to give much time, because I really have to rush out right now. But I'm hopeful that our president, Mr. Singh Dorje Lagru, will be joining soon after he finishes with the interview. And yeah, Sajadji has given a really good background on all that. And I hope the other speakers, Norton is there, who will be speaking, I think, more on the women inclusivity in this movement. So thank you so much, PUCL, again. And if I'm able, I'll rejoin you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dolma, for joining us from outside the jail. It's very, very representative of what our lives are as activists. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And we hope you can rejoin and perhaps
Yes,
answer some questions. Okay, thank you.
definitely. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. All the best.
So we can go ahead with Shafi Lasuji now.
Yes, I welcome Mr. Lasu Shafi, who is part of the Leh Bar Association. So, can you hear us? You are on mute in case you're trying to speak.
Shweta ji, I think he might be busy because he might be with Kunzas Dolma ji at jail site. So I think Siring Nodon ji, if you will allow her to speak.
Sure, sure. Can we have Sering Nordin Shunu, who is an educator, women's rights activist, to address the audience now? We can uh, going to I don't think I want to give you a particular question, but if you can speak to the especially the demand of that Kunzes Dolma has also pointed out to the demand for women's political participation in the Autonomous Hills Council. What has been that struggle like? How has that been a part of the movement in Ladakh today? If you can shine some light on that.
Yeah, hi everyone. Good evening. My name is Siring Nodun, and today I think I'm going to speak as a concerned citizen of Ladakh. That would be more appropriate for today. So, talking about reservation, women political participation. Yes, we gotten 33% reservation in the Hill Council, but the larger question also lies on what kind of power if the Hill Council, like how we always seen right now, Hill Council has been seen as powerless in Ladakh. So I don't see if the council is powerless. So in that scenario, I don't see if a men or women leading in the forefront that is going to make any difference if the council is powerless. So, you know, that's the paradox how it is. So welcome the decision, but if the council is powerless, it is not autonomous, and then it doesn't matter who is going to lead in the forefront, right? Whether it's men or women. uh, so having said that, I as a youth and as a woman, I feel a lot of aggression in myself, lot of helplessness in myself as a concerned citizen of Ladakh, because what unfolded on 24th September was something unimaginable. We lost 4 lives, and it was a collective grief. I wouldn't say that the 4 life lost was only 4 families lost their children. It was a collective grief that Ladakh as a whole had, collectively experienced it. So everyone was mourning, everyone was grieving about the 4 life lost. And the most unfortunate part of all of this was that there was no political leadership to leadership accountability. I always say whenever I speak with local media here in Ladakh also, that there is a political crisis in Ladakh, uh, leadership crisis in Ladakh. When I say political leadership crisis, I mean that people of Ladakh here are not being heard, are not being. We need to be heard right now. The government of India should be listening to us, listening to the people. Forget about BJP, forget about Congress, forget about any political ideology that you take into consideration. You should just come, and you should listen to the people of Ladakh and give people what you have promised for over this period of time. So, and also when you look at the whole movement as such, the movement to include Ladakh into sixth schedule, this is something which in the constitution, this is a constitutional way. Like, we are not demanding something that is out of proportion, right? We are not something demanding independence. We really want to be part of India. And we cannot give you examples. There are lots of examples of how much of patriotism that Ladakhis have it. You can just flip the pages of history, then you would be able to see it. There are history written on Ladakhis giving away their lives happily for the nation. So that, I think this all has to be taken in consideration when you talk about Ladakh, you know, uh, when you talk about the demands that demand of sixth schedule, or the statehood. So Mr. Suno Wangchuk was spearheading our movement. Right now, he is behind the bars, and we collectively, as Mr. Sajat has said, we collectively demand his release because he is a leader. And calling him, I would always say this: calling him anti-national, calling him CIA agent, calling him a Chinese agent, having links with Pakistan, it's an insult to each and every Ladakhi right now. You are calling each and you are accusing each and every Ladakhi sitting here of all the allegation that have you provided. I would like to say that to the nation. And also, when you talk about women's participation in Ladakh, yes, women have actively participated over the years into the protests, into the demand of whether it is the demand for UT or UT with legislature during that time, or any agitation that we have seen. You see women from all across the religion, across ages coming together and demanding and standing in shoulder to shoulder with men in this whole demand. So basically, right now, what's happening in Ladakh on ground, I would say that uh, among the youths, what's happening is a lot of helplessness and a lot of confusion right now. Because when you talk about normalcy being, you always claim that peace has been restored in Ladakh, but of course our leaders are behind the bars. So is this the kind of peace that you want to propagate? I would like to ask that. And also, the student leaders, all the student leaders are behind the bars right now. So we demand immediate release of all of them. And right now, what Ladakh needs is a collective leadership of Leh and Kargil. Fortunately, right now, what we see as a leadership in form of KDA and Apex is that we do have collective leadership. collective leadership. Fortunately, it is intact, right? So we are very fortunate to have that leadership intact right now. There's no division between Leh and Kargil over any kind of over any issue right now. So that is something that we should we I as a youth, I really appreciate our veteran leaders. uh, and uh, One more thing that I would like to highlight on this platform is that when we talk about lives being lost and live bullets being shot, so there's a kind of a question in each and everybody's individual mind in Ladakh, that what is this, how you are being treated, is this the lie, is this the value of minority lives in India? This is how do you treat the minorities, tribal minorities people? So that's the question that I would like to ask to the nation, especially to the government over there. So right now I feel, as a youth and as a women, that collective leadership should be there. And we need, uh, when we talk about center and the Ladakhi population, right? So there was a bridge, and that bridge, I think, that bridge was kind of, right now I do not see that bridge right now, to be very honest. And we need more of transparency. No more closed doors meetings, and we would like to have more of transparency, and something concrete that we want to have. So demand of six scheduled statehood or separate seats for Kargil, MP seats for Kargil and Leh, or PAC, Public Service Commission. These are the demands, I think. uh, it is not something that has that is out of somebody's league, right, out of the government of India's league, that they cannot give us. I feel discussion has been happening since so many years, since 2020, I would say. After 2000, after we got UT, it has been happening, discussions and negotiation. Now is the time that you come into action and give the people of Ladakh, listen to the people of Ladakh, and take the responsibility of what has happened. And also I also want that it's a time for the government to sit and reflect, where did they go wrong in Ladakh. It's really important to do that, because if you do not sit and reflect, you are not going to have a solution for the future. And that could be only possible if you release Mr. Sonam Wangchuk, and if you release all the political prisoner. That would be one step forward from the government itself. So that would be my request to the government, that they should be releasing all of this thing, all of it. And To the nation, I would always want to say that Ladakhi people have been called upon, on social media. Ladakhi people have been called as anti-nationals, Chinese agents, having Pakistani links. So I would like to tell all of them that you wouldn't see Ladakhi as patriotic as anywhere in this country. You can travel across the country, you wouldn't find that. During Kargil, we have instances of Kargil war, we have instances of Galwan, we have instances of war with Pakistan. Ladakhi people, each and every individual in Ladakh, have a story, have a contribution towards the nation. So I would like to request them, so stop labeling us, stop creating the false narrative, and search for the truth, look for the facts. That would be my message to everyone in across the nation. So yeah, so that would be.
Thank you so much for your very, very powerful testimony. And I'm so happy that you started by saying you're speaking as a concerned citizen first, and then went on to really shed light on what the youth of Ladakh are thinking. Uh, Thank you for sharing with us that feeling of collective grief about the lives lost on 24th, the collective rage against the arrest of Sonam Wangchuk and the others who have been arrested. we are really happy that you're saying that the strength of the movement in Ladakh is that the leadership is strong, is intact. With Leh and Kargil, there is collective leadership, and as you rightly said, this peace that exists without violence, this peace that exists without justice or accountability, is not the peace that we want. We want a peace with justice and accountability. So, thank you so much, Norden, for your really powerful testimony.
Thank
Uh,
you so much for having me here. Thank you so much. Giving me this platform to talk to people across our nation. It was really needed to have a perspective from the youth. So because youth are feeling frustrated right now here, helpless and frustrated with what's going on. So this is the bare minimum that I can do. Thank you.
Thank you. We are completely in solidarity with you and the demands from the movement. I'd like to invite Ashish Kothari next. I want to ask Ashish ji, what are the vested interests of the state in keeping these promises broken, in the way things have unfolded in the last few years? Why do you think the movement of Ladakh or the voices of Ladakh are being silenced? What do you think lies behind this?
Thank you, Aishwarya. Thanks, PUCL. Zindabad, Zule. Namaste, Adab. I have been going to Ladakh for about 15 years now, especially in the last 10 years, many, many trips. And I have to say that it's the one part of India that I've completely fallen in love with, even more so than my own home state. This is for many reasons, but I think especially the incredible hospitality of its people and its landscapes, its nature, its environment, its wildlife, its culture, its food, everything. It's just anybody who's not been to Ladakh, it's very hard to imagine. Once you're there, you can't help but falling in love with it. So for me, what's been happening in the last few days is extremely painful. It is, along with the Ladakhis, I think I'm also kind of shaken to the core. Why is the government not fulfilling, or why is the BJP not fulfilling its promises of 2019 and 2020 and granting what is an extremely legitimate demand for sixth schedule and statehood? There are many reasons, but the ones that I'd like to bring out, which to my mind is also the reason why the taking back of Article 370 happened for the whole of Jammu and Kashmir, including Ladakh, which is land and mineral resources, or the possible commercial profits that can be made from these regions, which was difficult when when it had its special constitutional status. Now, if you look at, and this is what Sajjad Bhai already said, that under Article 370, and to some extent the Ladakh Hill Council Act, it provided some level of, or quite a high level of protection, actually, especially for land and other resources to be determined by people within Ladakh itself. Now, the Hill Council Act itself, which came up partly as a result of Ladakhis wanting to be autonomous within JNK or separate from JNK, which eventually happened. The Hill Council Act actually does provide a large amount of control over land to the Hill Council. Not complete, but a large amount. Now, what has been happening since 2019, when Ladakh was what became a union territory, was that much of the control over land, even though in theory the Council Act still applies and the council is still supposed to be in control, actual control has shifted to New Delhi. That is to say, what kind of land should be allotted to whom, decisions on things like Nautod, which means new uses of land which have not been previously used. These used to be in the hands of local officials, along with the headmen of the village, this traditionally called Goba, or if a revenue officer, then Nambardar. This has largely been taken away and has been centered now in the district commissioner or the divisional commissioner. Now, why is this important? It's important because these are, if you go in as an uninitiated person, you'll see vast tracts of land which apparently nobody is using. So you'll say, well, what's the problem? You can give some of that land over to industries or tourism or whatever, right? Nobody's using it. But that's a misnomer. It's a misleading, because actually you will find that that land overall has very low productivity. And therefore, the traditional occupations that people had, especially pastoralism in places like Changthang and elsewhere, had to have large areas for them to be sustainable, right? And there were many other uses of that supposedly barren or useless land. They in fact use such words. They say barren land or वगैरह, बंजर जमीन and things like that. But if you look at what's happening now, I'll just give you one example, which we're extremely worried about, which is in Changthang, which is the high altitude plateau that goes into Tibet, is used predominantly by nomadic pastoralists, Changpas, or the people of Changthang, and for things like yaks or Pashmina goats or sheep. And 48,000 acres of that is now allotted for a solar project. Okay, solar come wind, but mostly solar project. Now that's huge. You're talking about a massive, massive chunk of land, which incidentally is also the summer grazing grounds for these pastoralists, especially the Pashmina goat pastoralists. That's just the land for the panels. Beyond that, there's going to be huge amounts of land going for transmission lines or what they call evacuation lines. For things like the labor colony, they're thinking of bringing in some 30,000-40,000 labor in a landscape in which currently the population is even 1/10 of that, or sorry, 1/5 of that. So we're talking about just one project with maybe 50, 60, 70,000 acres of land, right? And then there are many others. There are another 4 or 5 solar projects. There's all kinds of other things happening. There's a railway line coming in. There are highways and being built and more. The second crucial thing, which is extremely worrying, so far, Ladakh has not been subject to mining at all. But now the Geological Survey of India has found rare earths. Now we know that supposedly for solutions to the climate crisis, the whole world or corporations across the world and governments across the world are looking for rare earths. Because these are they're essential for many industrial things already, but especially for many of the so-called solutions to the solar crisis. So we might well see allocations of land for mining in Ladakh, which, as I said, has so far not happened. You can imagine the kind of devastation that could cause. So essentially, Ladakh is, and what's very ironical is that a few years back, the Prime Minister said that we want to make sure that Ladakh is a carbon neutral region. Now that's a joke, because until now, Ladakh has been carbon negative in the sense that the emissions from the local people, especially the traditional occupations, are virtually zero. I mean, they're very little. But on the other hand, it's actually absorbing huge amounts of carbon and other things, right? Now you're building these massive projects in the name of making Ladakh carbon neutral, but essentially actually to evacuate huge amounts of power or minerals or other sorts of things for the rest of India or the rest of the world. So it's actually, in that sense, a sacrifice zone for so-called climate solutions. The other issue, so land and minerals are two very big issues. The third one is tourism. Now, when Ladakh was opened up for tourists about 50, almost exactly 50 years back, the first year there were 500 something tourists. A couple of years back, there were 500,000 tourists. So you're talking about a 1,000-fold increase in the number of tourists, right? Now, of course, a substantial part of the Ladakhi economy is now dependent on tourism. So one is not saying that tourism has to be removed or all tourism is bad. There is a lot of dependence. There are economic benefits that people have got. But the number and the scale and the kinds of tourism that is being brought in or forced down the Ladakhis' throats has got huge negative impacts, ecological impacts such as through roads, vehicles. Vehicles are spewing out pollution, which are causing what's called black soot to fall on the glaciers, about which again I'll speak in a couple of minutes. Garbage, huge amounts of garbage. You can see that if you go to Leh town, there's massive piles of garbage which are hidden away in some places, but it's very, very difficult to actually deal with. And disturbance to wildlife of all kinds. There is an old airport that's being upgraded into a capacity of 2 million, which is 6 times the total population of Ladakh. So you can just imagine the sorts of plans that people have, right? As of now, the local tourist operators have actually refused to allow any large scale, any of the mega hotel chains and things like that to come in. But that's a matter of time. If things continue as they are, it's a matter of time before all the big chains are actually able to come in. Two other points quickly on environment, which are important. Wildlife. I mentioned wildlife. Now, Ladakh has some of the most incredible, unique, and in some cases endemic wildlife populations. Not found anywhere else or found in very small numbers elsewhere. Maybe the most important would be the black-necked crane. The largest population of an extremely threatened species, endangered species, is actually in Ladakh. It breeds there. And then, of course, others like snow leopard and many more. We're seeing already the impacts of tourism and other so-called developments on wildlife in many places. And right now, as we speak, there is a proposal for denotifying some of the wildlife protected areas, ostensibly so that local people can continue their livelihoods. And I'd be very happy if that was the real reason. The real reason is, of course, to open up these areas for possible commercial use. The final environmental issue or sort of rights issue I would mention is water. Ladakh is water scarce. Though this time I was there about a month back and it broke all rainfall records for the last 50, 60 years, but it is generally water scarce. The main sources of the water are glaciers and rivers to the extent, streams to the extent that people use them. Now, as we see with climate crisis, glaciers are receding. Several villages already, for instance, in Zankar, have had to shift down because the glaciers are no longer giving them the amount of water they wanted. Some of this comes from global climate change, nothing that Ladakhis can do about it. But then the addition of things like large-scale vehicular traffic is increasing the impacts. And water is going to be is already, and it's going to be a bigger and bigger. And then if you bring in that many more tourists and that much more, this solar project, for instance, is going to require huge amounts of water. Where will it come from if it's not from actually taking it away from existing either people or wildlife? Finally, I just want to say quickly that there is with sixth schedule and statehood obviously is crucial. Because once you get sixth schedule and statehood, especially sixth schedule, the possibilities of being able to stop this are much higher. Okay, because then local people have control over what land should or should not be given for what and things like that. But in practice, even that can be violated. We have seen some sixth schedule areas in Northeast where local people or wildlife don't necessarily have that protection, because it also depends on the mindset of people, right? So of those who are then finally taking decisions. And here we've seen over the last decade, this is a challenge for Ladakhis and for all of us. We've seen changes in mindset towards more commercial, more greedy kinds of things, especially look at Laytown and the kind of explosion of construction that's taking place for hotels and guest houses, right? But the same Ladakhis are also coming up with all kinds of incredible alternatives. So if we want so-called development, or let's say we want well-being for the population of Ladakh, which is what the government is arguing that we're bringing that, instead of these sorts of mega infrastructure and things like that, what the Ladakhis themselves have come up with is some of the most incredible alternatives, some sustaining traditional patterns of agriculture, water use, and construction, and so on, some new ones, innovations, including, for instance, what Sonam Wangchuk has come up with in terms of passive solar building. So energy, livelihoods, many young people in Ladakh are actually coming up with livelihoods based on local resources, right? It's ecologically sustainable local resource use, for instance, with dried apricots or apples or some of the agricultural produce. So these are the sorts of things that actually are already on the ground, which can be promoted, which can be spread, which can be outscaled. If sixth schedule and statehood comes, these are the alternatives that will need to be promoted and not just sort of importing mainstream development ideas from the rest of the world. And my final point here is this also requires significant empowerment of local village assemblies. They're called Yulpas, or the head people, the Gobas, with gender transformations also, because the Gobas have always been men. But this empowerment is not necessarily automatic under the sixth schedule. So I've actually been saying, why not also the fifth schedule? I don't know if constitutionally that's possible or not, but certainly some level of empowerment of the village assemblies to be able to make sure that whatever decisions are taken by the Hill Council or the state assembly once it comes in are also locally sustainable, that there's local democratic control over them, that there's gender issues brought in, and that there's wildlife and ecology also centered on this. So alternative pathways of well-being are very much possible for Ladakh, but only if this kind of constitutional autonomy is granted. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashish ji. I think for you to definitely shine light on the expansive nature of takeover of land and resources, which makes both the ecology and the people of Ladakh vulnerable. But also with your second part or your last part of your presentation to show possible directions and alternatives of uh, things that we must pursue from both technologies and local ideas of alternatives to the empowerment of village assemblies. I think thank you so much for your presentation. Next, I want to invite the journalist Zivang Rigzin. I wanted to ask you, from the perspective of a journalist, if you could talk about the protests that have taken place in the last 5 to 6 years, and especially after post 24th September, what does Ladakh look like now? Yes, there was an internet blackout. We didn't hear much from Ladakh for a few days, but if you could shine light on what is happening now and what have you seen evolve in the movement in the last 5 6 years.
Uh, Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Good evening and July, everyone. Uh, uh, in the last 6 years, the protest has been completely peaceful. I've seen all the protests, all these demonstrations. Or first, it was started by students in the winter. Then I think from 2023, Sonamangchuk started sitting on Anshan. It was all peaceful, and even on that 24th September, it was initially very peaceful. I think it was uh, the reaction of the youth is there was some tear gas shelling from the security forces. Then that's how violence started. That's what I felt, and I can never forget that day. That horrific day, because when firing was going on, I was just inside the premises of the area where Sonamangchuk and other people were sitting on Anshan, and we were told to run away, and we had to escape from the site. And it was not possible for us to run away from the gate because it was full of security forces, and I could hear so many blasts and firings. I don't know whether it was firings or tear gas shells, and we had to climb big walls and jump over big walls, and it was like horrible. It was really, really, I never thought that such a thing would ever happen in Ladakh. And violence was of course condemnable, and then firing, I don't know how they were responding by firing live bullets at our own citizens, for the people who have been guarding the country from two hostile nations for the last so many years, since 1948. I would like to remind the people of, inform or remind the people of the country that it was the people of Ladakh who built the Leh airport in I think 48, under the leadership of one Mr. Sonam Nurgu. And then after that, sorry, uh, after that, in the 1960s, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes.
My net, I have a problem with the net. And in the 1960s, the airport that we have in Nubra was built by the people of Nubra under the leadership of an assistant commissioner. Now it is called an SDM. Earlier it was called the assistant commissioner. So voluntarily by the people of people of Ladakh. So, and now you are branding these people of this, patriotic region of the country as anti-national, having links with Pakistan and China. This is completely, I mean, I don't know. We are unable to, digest this. I mean, it was completely horrible. And secondly, what I've seen after this 24th September incident, uh, the national media and some international media also, they've come here to cover what all was happening here, and many of the national media, I wouldn't say all the media people, were busy looking for a Chinese or Pakistani link rather than looking for the real issues of the people of Ladakh. That was totally horrible, and for that many of us even wrote letters and articles, and yes, that was how it was going, and this was completely unacceptable. And after 24th September, I would say that people of Ladakh will now feel even the importance of the sixth schedule even more, because government had to resort to such violent acts for those people who are demanding sixth schedule. So now I'm sure apex body and KDA will never come down from sixth schedule and statehood. Even if government proposes UT with legislature, we have seen what is happening with the UT with legislature, Delhi, and right in front of us in Jammu and Kashmir. So we should not compromise on statehood and sixth schedule, and the other demand, the unconditional release of all the people, including Mr. Sonamont. I'm not speaking as a journalist. I'm speaking as a concerned Ladakhi who has seen these horrific days in the last few days. And one of the things that I want to share is when this four youth were murdered, we were not allowed to cover their funerals also. And many of the relatives and friends of those killed were not allowed to attend their funerals. So everything was being suppressed. So it was completely unacceptable and condemnable. So I don't have words to describe what was happening here in Leh Ladakh, which is known to be one of the most peaceful, region in the country. And right now, everything looks kind of normal to some extent, but we know that it's not really normal. People are still locked up in jail, and MBN is 163, which was earlier known as Dafa 144 or 144, is still being imposed. So even if people want to take out a protest or a peaceful march or a candlelight march to demand the release of all the detainees, including Sonamangchuk, we can't do it. So it's not yet normal. So I won't say it is completely normal. Yeah. Yes. That's what I would. If you have any question, you can ask.
Thank you so much, Sevangritsan, and also for saying that what happened on 24th has also reinforced the demand for statehood and sixth schedule, and we're in complete solidarity with you, and thank you for narrating and reliving the horrific moments of that day to share with all of us. Um, I would like to invite Mr. Lasu Shafi from the Lay Bar Association now to share a little bit about the legal struggle and what lies ahead. What can we do to demand the release of all the political prisoners? What can we do? Uh, and what is being done? Can you share with us for a brief 10 minutes? So you
शफी जी अपने आप को अनम्यूट करेंगे आप अभी आपने मुझे फोन पे बोला आप
Yes.
yeah, please unmute and if you can show your face,
Ah,
then we can spotlight you.
yeah. So I'm not audible and
नहीं, you're very audible, हाँ, पर वीडियो नहीं दिख रहा है आपका.
वीडियो कैसे नहीं देखना? हाँ?
पूरे देश के लोग जुड़े हुए हैं, उनको मालूम होना चाहिए जो इस वक्त लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं अलग अलग मुकामों से. They should know, that the Bar Association president is with us. They should know who he is. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much for inviting me in this program. I'm fully with the earlier speakers and endorse whatever they have stated in this meeting, especially Northern Kunzes and my dear friend Sajad. As far as the legal point of view is concerned, what has happened on 24th was unprovoked, unplanned, and it was happened on a spur of moment. There was no instigation from any corner. The allegation by the government that it was instigated and provoked. It was never been a premeditated attack or something like that. What has happened was very unfortunate. Then, with the result, we lost lives of 4 youth. It's a huge loss for Ladakh. If we compare it with a metropolitan city, it is about more than 40, 50 people, we have very limited populations. Now, the allegations against the people arrested by the government, by the law enforcing agencies, they have arrested almost 73 people. On 24th, they arrested about 39. Out of 39, 38 got bail so far. And in addition to that, total we have got released about 42 people, including two people got released today on bail. Now, what is important? The allegation made by the government seems to be very baseless. They just alleging that it was happened all due to the provocation by the environmentalists Sonam Wangchuk and some other youth leaders. It's not that. The Angshan area, the moment was such a peaceful one, which could be one of the example for the whole country. It could be a new way of protest for the whole world, because for all 6 years, no any untoward incidents happened, and people were struggling for their demand. And unfortunately, the government attitude and government tendency, rather, I must say that it was a fishy-Paris tendency by the government not to inviting the KDN Apex for a talk. And the talk should be very meaningful and effective. So for whatever talk happened, it was very useless without any result. With the result, the people are under very, confused. They are just calling a meeting and without any result. And three sessions of talk happened without any result. Now, right now, we have about 30 people still in the jail. Some are in the police custody, and most of them are in the judicial custody in the jail. So now, what we need to do, it is the government who should come with some confidence-building measures to diffuse the deadlock. They should come forward with certain measures like appointing a judicial inquiry. Then they withdraw the case against these people who are in jail. Plus, they should release Sonam Wangchuk without any condition, because the allegations against Sonam Wangchuk is very baseless, because he has been a star of India. He brought laurel to the country. He was awarded Rolex Award, Roman Magsaysay Awards, and many universities have awarded him the doctorate degree. They have verified his credibility, his character, his everything. That's why he was awarded this sort of thing. And unfortunately, the government leveled a vague, very baseless allegations against him, which is not going to prove anywhere in the court of law. So I think the government will definitely understand the problem of the Ladakhi people, as well as this kind of actions which they have taken against environmentalists who is renowned and recognized by the worldwide. So it is very unfortunate. Now, government have failed to announce compensation for the next of kin to the youth killed in the indiscriminate firing by the law enforcing agency. There was no need of resorting to such a brutal, firing, because the protesters were not carrying any weapons, any dangerous weapons, not to talk of guns or any kind of knife or something like that. They were just pelting stone. That could be stopped by resorting to other, resorted to other way to stop this kind of violence, by water cannon and by other means. They had thousands of other ways to control the mob. But it was the failure of the administrations and the law enforcing agency, with the result, what has happened was never been a premeditated one, never been a planned one. They never wanted to set fire any building, including the BJP office or the hill councils. But it was the failure on the part of the administration. Now, administration should come forward with a concrete proposal. They should give good compensation to the next of kin. Plus, they should come with a proposal to release unconditionally all these people who are in jail and withdraw the cases, which are all, I think, baseless. If they come forward and they come with a healing touch, then there could be a very meaningful dialogue between the stakeholders. Ladakh being a very nationalist people, it is no doubt area-wise where we are a very big district, very big, UT, but with a very limited populations. And strategically, we have two hostile nations, one on the eastern side and other on the northwestern side. They've been always inimical to the India, and the local Ladakhi people always fought shoulder to shoulder with the Indian army, be it during the 62 war with China, 71 war with Pakistan, then 99 war in Kargil. Then we had this Galwan war, in which we lost brave soldiers, 20 brave soldiers, including the full Colonel Santosh. So during those days, those time, The Ladakhi always came forward to help the Indian Army. The people living on the border, they should be given a preferential, preferential step by the government. But so far, government failed to understand, failed to listen to the genuine demands of the people of Ladakh. The protest was always been a very peaceful. They have leveled number of heinous offense like attempt to murder, riotings, and many other offenses. Hundreds of sections they have added in the charge sheet. Not charge sheet, in the FIR, which is not going to be proved by them in any of the court. Now, it is the high time for government to come forward with a proposal. They should withdraw the case against all these people who are in jail or outside. Then they should release without any, without any conditions, Mr. Sonamochu, who has been a very peace-loving person. His method of protest was so gentle, so peaceful. It could be a medium of protest, peaceful protest for the whole world, not to talk of India. So my only point on this discussion is that the allegation leveled against all these people are baseless. Now they should come forward to withdraw the cases, immediate appointment of a retired Supreme Court judge or High Court judge to investigate the matter, so that they come to know, the people knows that how this had happened, and with the result, the confidence of the people are getting, very negative in favor of the law enforcing agency. It was a complete failure of the law enforcing agency to deploy
Lasusha,
enough.
can you tell us, there are some people who've spoken about torture. If in a minute or two you can share this, and whether any case has been done by the people who spoke about torture.
The law enforcing agency applied for cancellation of bail for 4 people who spoke about their ordeals they underwent in the lockup, or say in the custody. So we are just contesting it because they have not violated any condition of the bail. The conditions of the bail was that they will cooperate with the investigating agencies. They will not leave the territorial jurisdiction of the court without the permission of the court. They will not hamper or temper the witnesses, prosecution witnesses. They have not done even anything like that. They never influenced either the witness or the line or the investigating agency. Only fault, only their only fault is that they spoke truth before the some journalists who just try to get some feedback from the people who remain in the jail for about 10 days. Now, there are many more people who are still in jail without any fault on their part. And unfortunately, 2 ladies are also in the jail so far, and we are trying our best to get them released. Then there are students who were arrested, and they are waiting for their bail so that they can join their classes and the examinations. So we have submitted all the relevant documents to the court, and we are very hopeful that they will be enlarged on bail very soon. Then, as far as the torture is concerned, some people were tortured. Then they are also being looked after by the honorable court, and they have every right to lodge a complaint against those people who tortured illegally, and they were one of them were kept in illegal detentions. So these are certain things which we are taking care of it. And as far as the bar association lay is concerned, we are doing everything pro bono. We are not charging even a single penny. We have already given our commitment to the Apex and the KDA that whatever will happen, we will do it without any charge, and we will do it pro bono. So far, we got 42 people on bail, and still about 31 are in jail, excluding Sonam Wangchuk.
थैंक यू मिस्टर शाफी, थैंक यू सो मच कि आपने पहले तो you have asserted and reminded us that the protest was completely peaceful. It was a non-violent protest, and the violence that did erupt was not planned, not instigated, not provoked, but it was a spontaneous one. Uh, Thank you for dismantling the type of myths and narratives that are going around about 24th September and about the movement at large. Um, Thank you also for the work that you have been doing, that you've shared with us for the people who have been arrested. Um, we are completely with you, and we will be a part of any campaign to demand for the release of the remaining 31 people in who continue to be in jail.
Yes,
Uh,
yes. We are hopeful that some of them may be released on bail tomorrow or the day after. Then we have from day one demanded that 1 crore compensation should be given as an interim relief to each of the deceased family,
right.
because they lost their life due to unprovoked, without any provocation from their side. It was a indiscriminate fighting by the law enforcing agency. When they were not carrying any weapons, then they were not supposed to resort to the firing.
Yes.
Instead of firing, they could resort, do through other means like water cannon and many other ways they have, but
Yes.
they have not done any peaceful method to control it. So
Yes.
they are answerable to it, and now they can come forward. And the only option is that the Ladakhi people are peace-loving people, very nationalist, very pro-Indian. They have never been anti-Indian. So now what they want there should be a judicial inquiry, and the next of kin should be given a good compensation, and the talk should be resumed. And for resuming the talk, it is the government which should come with a healing touch, confidence building measures. So far, they have not done anything. Instead, they are still summoning people, arresting people for questioning, and they are arresting them and trying to get remand, police remand, PC, and all that, which is not correct at this moment. They should come with a peaceful method, whether it is the local administration or the higher ups.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A question has come in the chat box from Meera, who's asking, has the center said anything on the compensation and job to the family of the deceased people?
Yeah, it was our demand that 1 crore is nothing, and all these three, most of the boys, the youth, 4 youth out of which 3 are completely underprivileged sections, and one is a ex-serviceman who participated in the war between India and Pakistan in 1990, and he got injured in the war. after healing the injury, he again joined the war. He was such a nationalist and such a brave man. He was killed. He got killed, and then the government has to come with a very handsome, though it is nothing by compensation, paying any compensation, the want the people of Ladakh had due to the death of these four people, but still they can do some healing touch. That's what we want.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr.
But
Shafi.
unfortunately, Aishwarya, I got the light off, electricity problem.
No problem. Is
Okay.
that why your screen is dark?
Yeah, screen is dark. I'm talking in the darkness. I think just my words are enough to be
Yes,
there than my
yes,
face.
yes, your
There
words are
may be
astounding.
darkness in the room, but there is a lot of light that you have
I
shed.
have no light in my room. Just
You have
gone.
shed a
Light
lot
just
of
gone.
light, and I think with what all the speakers have said, we can actually build an agenda. One of the things that we wanted to build was an agenda to campaign.
Yes.
And I think, am I right, Aishwarya?
Yeah.
We wanted to come out
Yeah.
with a demand
But
charter
but
collectively.
our younger lot talks so good, and especially Nordan, Kunzes, and Sijat. And Mr. Kothari, of course, he talks so good about the environmental of Ladakh, what we wanted to have and what we want. He explained it in a very fantastic way. We are very thankful that such a people are cooperating with the Ladakh. They are extended their support to us. We are very fortunate. And of course, Mr. Chewang Rizal also spoke so well, and he gave a very good uh, detail about how it happened. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Yes,
please stay
absolutely.
back for the questions. Aishwarya, please take the questions.
Yes, Amit Raj has said people who totally oppose Ladakh's current demands may at times settle for statehood demand. After long discussions, they do agree on state level elections, civil service commission, but the sixth schedule demand is something that they show total opposition to. They argue that it is a divisive demand. Many a times, this dialogue with them converts into very heated arguments from the opposing side. So, could you help us understand this demand better? Why sixth schedule along with statehood, and so as to keep the dialogue fruitful with ordinary citizens? Sajjadji, can you take this?
Yes.
Yes.
First of all, the sixth schedule demand we are demanding because it has been promised by the BJP when they were contesting elections in 2019 during parliamentary elections, and then after in 2020 during Leh Hill Council elections, and then after then Union Minister, Tribal Affairs Minister Arjun Munda, he has also given a statement in Leh where he assured once again the people of Leh that they will grant sixth schedule to Ladakh. Also, when the apex body leaders they have announced it boycott election, they have given boycott election call. Then Amit Shah has called them in Delhi in a chopper and then assured them that they will grant sixth schedule, but they should keep Kargil along with them, the leaders of Kargil. They came here. We discussed with the apex body. We unitedly then demanded. Then BJP walked away. So it means this is what the BJP has promised from the people of Ladakh. Number one. Number two, the statehood demand. Because we have seen for last 6 years that Ladakh has been betrayed. We have been plundered. We have been made voiceless. We have no voice today. There is no accountability. Even if you can kill a protesters without having any order, I don't know. I have not gone through any. I don't know. I feel there is no such order for killing the shoot aside the protesters. What they did in Ladakh, it shows the unaccountability. There is no accountability in Ladakh today, and there is total lawlessness, and there is nobody is there to ask the authorities who gave this order to kill the innocent people, unarmed protesters. I'm not saying the unarmed protesters, the BJP leaders given statements, and they have said the protesters were unarmed. Second thing, after seeing this situation, we need democracy because we need to be heard. We need some voice, and that voice is possible through statehood. And we also know that sixth schedule without statehood would be an incomplete demand, because under sixth schedule the authority will be, ultimate authority will be the lieutenant governor, who is being appointed from the center, not our representative. So he is not accountable to us, so he can drink the laws. Therefore, we need our own representative who can take care of these laws, constitutional guarantees which government will give under the sixth schedule. So sixth schedule along with statehood is the ultimate demand of the people of Ladakh. The third thing, some people were asking who provoked the protesters. I think why only people are judging the statements of the Apex body and the KDA leaders, not KDA, but they are trying to pointing out the youth leaders of Apex body when they addressed a press conference on 23rd September. I think the people are provoked by the policies adopted by the UT administration. They have introduced new industrial policy without the consent of local hill council. They have imposed, they have almost manipulated the Elan 38, our constitutional right which we had for Nautod, and we don't have any public service commission. For last 6 years government has failed to give a single gazetted post job to a single Ladakhi. Our government is now announcing that we are sending ambulances and MRI machines and CT scans to Afghanistan, and they are hugging with Taliban right now, but they are failed to give a super specialty hospital in Ladakh. There is no functional proper university in Ladakh. There is no agriculture university in Ladakh. There is no super specialty hospital in Ladakh. We in Kargil, people of Kargil are demanding for a civil aircraft for last 60 years. They have failed to provide a single aircraft. Over out of 6,000 crore rupees, they are giving only 600 crore rupees to Leh and Kargil Hill councils. So this is a kind of disempowerment we are saying is looking. And on the other hand, government is busy organizing festivals, Zanskar festival, Dras Horse Polo, Nubra Horse Polo, and they are trying to they are using all these funds in these kind of activities, and they are not giving anything to the people of Ladakh. So the issues of people of Ladakh are unaddressed. That's why they are feeling betrayed and they are provoked by such policies. And one of interesting thing I want to share with you all, that our government is these days are they organized it a cup tournament, and the name of that cup was Climate Cup. They have not a single policy for climate, but they are organizing cups by giving title of Climate Cup. Such policies they are introducing, and they are doing such activities which have ultimately hurt the people of Ladakh. And that's why we need democracy to be restored. We need sixth schedule to be granted for the people of Ladakh. We need dignifiedly the judicial probe, and also our people should be respected as our constitution also guarantees our rights, and that should be respected. And all those heroes who are behind the bars must be released as soon as possible. This is not Leh Kargil issue. This is not the issue of a single particular political party. This is the issue of the people of Ladakh, the dignity of the people of Ladakh, and also this is the question for the unity of the people of Ladakh. We don't want to be on the wrong side of the history. Today, people of Ladakh have chosen to be on the right side of the history, and we are collectively fighting on these four demands. Also, the government cannot take us for granted. So we are not going for any kind of a dialogue without judicial probe, without announcing compensation. those who have been injured and without releasing those who have been arrested. This is what I feel, and I hope our apex body leaders and the other leaders in KDA, they should also have the same feeling, and that's why I wanted to share these things with you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sajaji. I think that was a very illuminating explanation for all of us to be more convinced of the demands and to be more in solidarity with the people of Ladakh. There have been a lot of questions about the sixth schedule in a more legal and technical sense. Anurag Malu has asked when and under what conditions should the sixth schedule apply? How does Ladakh's unique ecological and socio-political context meet those criteria? We also have in our audience somewhat of an expert on this topic, and I want to invite Mr. C.R. Bijoy if he can shed some light for just briefly.
Good evening to everybody. There have been a lot of work has already been done on the issue. I mean, what are the problems in relationship to schedule, etc. Technically speaking, there's nothing that prevents the parliament from approving sixth schedule. And sixth schedule is not a single format. I mean, like for example, the Bodo territorial area and the Karbi Anglong, the Gorkha land, all these things have their own uniqueness, their own differences. The sixth schedule has legislative, judicial, and executive powers. The number of subjects that fall within the jurisdiction of the sixth schedule has also varied across the different existing sixth schedule. All these subjects are basically related to the state subject, the concurrent list and the state list. As if it is a state list, then there is no issue. It can easily be legislated and approved at the state level. So essentially, the statehood and the role of governor also becomes important. What is also very interesting is that way back 15 years ago, there was a detailed draft constitution amendment drafted by the Ministry of Panchayat Raj and sent to the different states. What in essence is that looking at all the different governance models that exist in the country, there are numerous. You have 371A for Nagaland, G for Mizoram, where there are no Panchayat Raj system. In the sixth schedule, there is no Panchayat Raj. You're supposed to strengthen, modify, and formalize the traditional system. In Ladakh, there are also a number of state legislated autonomous councils, like in Assam, in the Manipur Hill area region. What Ladakh has, the two area, I mean, it is also a state legislated thing without legislative powers, and it contradicts or there is a parallel structure. The Panchayat Raj is also operating. You have the Hill Council area, you have the departments, and there is no linkages, control. All these things are operated, centrally by either by the state or the central government. So, in other words, what would be required is to, even if it is declared as a sixth schedule, it is necessary to conceptualize what is the kind of democratic autonomous structures that ought to exist at the village level. So we do have, as early as in March 2010, the Ministry of Panchayat Raj formulating three constitutional amendments, one for the sixth schedule, one for the fifth schedule, and the third for all the rest of the country. Essentially, they said that the best formula is a combination of the fifth schedule, and that should be applied across the country, whether tribal or non-tribal. There are, within that, they suggested that there should be some additional provision for the Northeast, considering certain specific constitutional thing. I think at the struggle in Ladakh actually should not be limited to looking, I mean, to supporting the demand of the Ladakhis, but I think it's high time that the whole country rises up and talks about democratizing the governance system, considering that we still have a colonial governance structure with the elected government pretending to be governing this country. Thank you. Incidentally, I have also shared all the documents related to that to the key speakers, to all the speakers in this group. Perhaps these documents will be used, can be used. Thank you.
Bijoy, you can, if you can also personally send it to me or either over email, so we can then circulate it to everybody also. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it is very interesting that such a kind of a proposition was made 15 years ago, and you will not find a single media coverage, no discussions, nobody knows about it. It was circulated to all the states. So I mean, it's very strange. Of course, anybody wants, I can definitely share the thing. It should be discussed thoroughly. Thank you.
So just before Aishwarya comes in, I think if, and Ashish has his hand up, if as we wanted this to do kind of nationwide, for the rest of the nation, they can start working on the demands. So if we could put this together with your help also, along with our other speakers over here today. Aishwarya, back to you. Unmute, unmute, unmute.
Ashishji, please come in. You have your hand raised up.
Yeah. Just a quick additional point to what Bijoy said. We've done a very detailed study. I put the link in the chat of the traditional governance system in Ladakh and also of the Hill Council Act, but before 2019. So I put both the links in the chat. Now, I think if you see the traditional governance system in Ladakh, I don't want to go into detail, but there's something called the Yulpa, which is like the village assembly, and the Goba, which is the village headman. It predates, I mean, it must be at least 200-300 years old, probably much older. It has been, I mean, it's not completely democratic, but there's a lot more democracy than in the panchayat system, in the sense that the Yulpa, the village assembly, has often been the one that actually takes the decisions. The Goba, the headman, cannot take decisions, the major ones, without consulting or consent from the Yulpa. And this includes everything: water systems management, land management, commons management, dispute resolution, cultural functions, etc. Everything, virtually everything comes with it. So in our study, actually, what we've said is that sixth schedule is fine, but we need something like the fifth schedule to be able to empower this system. It needs reforms. For instance, I mentioned about gender equality. But in itself, it's actually much more powerful, and is still, despite the panchayat coming in about 15 years back or so, is still, the faith of people is still way much in the Goba Yulpa system than in the panchayat. And then we've also given the example of Sikkim in Lachungpa, which is probably one of the few places where by law, the traditional Zomsa system is recognized as the panchayat system. So there is no separate panchayat. So we have a number of such examples across the world, including the ones Bijoy mentioned, which could apply to Ladakh with its own, of course, peculiarities and modifications. But it is very doubtful, of course. I mean, these are demands we have to keep making. Given the current mood of the government, any further decentralization anywhere in the country is going to be a huge uphill battle, because even those which are decentralized or where there are local powers, I think they want to kind of do away with them. So it is a national battle. I agree with Bijoy there.
Thank you, Ashishji. If there are any more questions, either you can raise your hand or type it in the chat box, and we can have some of the speakers address them. Suhas, just 1 second, I'll have to give you permission to unmute. Suhas, can you unmute and go ahead?
Hello, thanks. I was just wondering whether it was possible to know who had given the orders of firing. Was any RTI filed, and did they get any response to any RTI there?
Sajaji, Sivang, Rigzin, if anyone can take this question.
Nasuchi is here on? No.
Sorry, I didn't heard. Please, can you repeat one?
Uh,
She said if there were, if the fire, if now, till now, we know actually who gave the firing orders and whether any RTI had been filed in this context.
No, we are just demanding from the government to initiate a judicial inquiry, impartial judicial inquiry, and also asking government that who has given this order, just to clarify. But they are not, they are not responding. That's why there is no clarity at all. As of now, there is no RTI. I have no idea anyone has filed RTI or not, but I have no idea about it. I don't think anyone has filed any RTI because what we are demanding from the government, because government has said that for dialogue, we are open for dialogue and we can have dialogue with the apex body and KDA. But we have said that going for dialogue with this injustice will justify the injustice. That's why we have decided not to go for dialogue without impartial judicial inquiry and the release of all those who have been detained and the medical assistance those for those who have been injured and really compensation for those who have been killed.
Thank you, Sajaji. There's a person called Dolma who has joined. Is that the same as Kunzes Dolma ji?
Dolma is a very common
Yeah.
name across Ladakh, so could be anybody. I just wanted to quickly add for the previous thing that there is a subdivisional magistrate who's been asked to do an inquiry. Obviously, it's a huge question mark whether a subdivisional magistrate will actually have the independence to conduct an impartial inquiry, but there is there. And to my mind, any RTI that's filed, the first response is going to be there is already an inquiry, so please wait for that. So I think we need to keep demanding at least a High Court or a Supreme Court retired justice to conduct the inquiry.
Can I add one thing?
Otherwise, we must begin with our citizens' inquiry, maybe. If we get a retired judge, we set up a citizens' commission. And they won't allow, as Sivang was saying, that you can't, there is section 144, whatever it is in the BNSS now.
I suggest PUCL and other civil society members who are here to try to make a delegation to visit Ladakh as a fact-finding team and to meet the civil society members here. It will give a kind of solidarity message and also give a clarity about what has happened on 24th September and what are the demands, what is the situation on ground. If such thing will happen, I think that would be a great support for the movement.
Are people being allowed? Because a lot of media people who returned said they were not allowed to reach any of the.
If they will not allow that, also send a good message to the country.
Yeah. Coming in solidarity.
Yes.
But what I was saying, that is a larger people's commission. If the government doesn't do it, so a people's commission where people come and
Analysts,
depose
activists, and the retired bureaucrats,
or
they can
judge or a retired judge, and then people also
yes.
go to Kargil. I mean, it's comprehensive. It's
No, they
along
can
with
go
police firing.
they can meet with the families and also they can visit to Kargil and meet Apex Body as well as Kargil Democratic Alliance, and they can also assess the situation, what is the actual
So that can
situation.
be done once, a little bit of, but a smaller committee can come earlier. We've talked about it, Ashish and all of us. Maybe we will let you know. We will let you know. Aishwarya, any more questions or comments that people want to?
There are no more questions, but I think we should definitely schedule a meeting for us to have another session to plan what action we can take, as Sajadji is also suggesting, and other ideas like you've spoken about, to draft a charter of demands. I think we can take some collective actions and plan a meeting for that. But for today, there are no more questions in the chat box. Yes, Ashiji, go ahead.
I think what we need is, now there have been, and that's a it's heartening thing that there's been demonstrations and events in at least 6, 7 parts of India, probably more. I only heard of 6 or 7 in the last few days. We had one in Pune, there's Nagpur, there's, I think, Kavita, you all had one, then
Yesterday in
Nashik
Vyawar
yesterday, and
and in many cities of
many
Rajasthan.
places,
Many cities.
Arunachal, Sikkim, etc. So to my mind, what we need is to be able to get in touch with the people who organize these to form a national forum, informal or formal, whatever, a national, I don't know, Friends of Ladakh or something like that, which can help to coordinate activities a bit better, where we can have a coherent narrative, because also some of the narratives from some parts of India have been a little bit off the target, as I think, but it could be a coherent narrative, a sort of single set of demands that we can keep raising and helping each other to keep the issue alive. Because one of the things in India is that when something happens for the first 2, 3, 4 weeks, there's a lot of excitement and things happen, and then people kind of lose because there's another 20 issues to get into. So, in some way, to keep it alive across the country, I think we need some kind of a national forum. So, if UCL and some of the others, maybe Vikalp Sangam and others, and APM, could help to formulate this completely non-hierarchical, no overall umbrella, just call it, I don't know, Friends of Ladakh or something like that. And then the 5, 6 different kinds of actions, solidarity demonstrations, workshops. Tomorrow there's a workshop that Pune civil society groups are organizing here, a physical one. Fundraising to the extent that funds may be needed for defending those who have been charged with all kinds of things, or any other such thing. Articles, media coverage. There's so much that the rest of India can do. So some kind of coordinated response. That's my suggestion. Thanks.
So I think, Aishwarya, let's do a second. Yeah, I think Ridzin has his hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes,
Can you
yes,
hear
we
me?
can hear you.
Okay. So I think we should, as citizens, as civil society organization, advocate or ask for the government of India to bring up this Ladakh issue, the sixth schedule and the statehood issue in the next session of the parliament, which is, I think, scheduled um, in December. I think, if they promise to bring up these issues and discuss it, that would be, I think, good, because even if Ladakh is included in the sixth schedule, or they promise to give statehood for Ladakh, it should come in the parliament. Otherwise, they have been making all these promises in the last 6, 7 years, as Sajat ji already said. So that's what we as citizens should advocate. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
So for this suggestion, Swang, we have to work with a lot of members of parliament and the opposition parties. So that will have to be a separate lobbying. Of course, if this national alliance informal network does happen, so there can be one group working on that. And with the Bihar elections, in the backdrop, so I think there will be a tension after 16th of November. So let us at least start working on it. Our letters are ready, along with all our facts for this, plan of lobbying with members of parliament and leaders of the opposition. For that, many of you will have to come down to Delhi.
Right.
I think this also can be part of the agenda of this national alliance, where some support can be provided. And friends, tomorrow is the hearing of Sonam Wangchuk in the Supreme Court. Let's hope that the matter is high up on the cause list and it is heard in all fairness. And let's hope that some relief is provided tomorrow, because the government is replying that show cause notice was given to the government of India, and they see nothing wrong in anything that they do, the kind of arrogance that they have. So let's see what the courts do tomorrow. So we can also have an update tomorrow. I mean, of course, the media is so good that these days these updates come, but if there's anything else, our own Mira, we have media and social media, but our own Mira is all that. So we will see that the message goes to everybody about tomorrow, hopefully.
Thank you to all the speakers. We have about 50 people. 50 people have left, but I just want to say that this session had about 150 people join in YouTube and about 100 people in Zoom. So I'm so glad. Thank you to all the people who participated with their questions and to all the speakers who agreed to be a part of the dialogue today. We hope that the national level group, Friends of Ladakh or the Alliance, whatever we call it, I hope that we move forward and take this work forward, and we'll schedule a meeting soon. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming so much.
Thank you, Meera.
Thanks, Aishwarya. Thanks,
This
Kavita.
follow-up
Thank
meeting,
you, Kavita ji. Thank you,
ये
Ashish.
follow-up meeting